Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome along to the Rolling Cup podcast. We're on episode 23. I am your host, the amazing Sniper Beef. How are we all doing today? Devastate, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Beefy. How are you?
I'm very warm in my office this evening. As you can see, I'm very flushed, very warm this evening.
Might have
I've
something to do with wearing that hoodie. Um,
uh, yeah, I mean, I've had the oversized hoodie on all day, and I've had a cup of tea before the podcast this evening, so I'm a little bit warm. Mass, how are you?
Welcome. I'm very well. Glad to see you both again and glad to see you both well.
Thank you
Good
very much,
stuff.
sir.
Good stuff. Well, top of the hour. First of all, we'd love it if you would like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. And if you got any feedback, any comments, anything that you'd like us to talk about, we'd love it if you can drop it in the comment section just below. I'll crack on and
I'm just going to say
Devastate's
I've
gonna
got some
butt in.
breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. We have now been approved, and we are now on Amazon Music. So you can now, if you use Amazon Music, you can go and find us, search for the Royal Link Up podcast. The link will be in the description of the YouTube video. But we are now on Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're basically on all of the apps now on Android. So we are everywhere. So if you give us a subscribe and listen on any platform, we much appreciate it.
If we're on Amazon Music, does that mean we're on Audible as well? Given that they're linked to one another, because I'll just have a quick look because I'm actually on Audible myself and I listen to Audible fairly frequently. But whilst I'm procrastinating, let's talk through the. No, we're not on Audible. Let's talk through the topics for today. So I'll give you a quick highlight of what we're going to talk through. So we'll talk through the League of Legends World's Championships finals on November the 2nd and the tickets fiasco that's gone on there. Football Manager being delayed. Ubisoft, our favorite topic of the podcast, being sued for some illegal data sharing. Halo Combat Evolved potential remake. Cyberpunk's new graphics update. The Indiana Jones and the Great Circle Collector's Edition at $189.99. And then finally, we'll touch on the Red Dead Redemption 1 and its port to PC. So we are jam-packed today, loads to talk about. I will kick off with the League of Legends World's Championships Finals tickets fiasco. So the World Championships are currently in play at the moment. I won't give away any spoilers, but it's going very, very well. It's very, very good. The finals are being held in Europe, with the final being held on November the 2nd in London at the O2. And anyone who wanted tickets, you had to have an active League of Legends account and have played on the account at least, I think it was one game this season. So basically, in an attempt to try and get actual gamers who are playing the game to come to the finals, you've got to have an active active account and utilizing it and playing on it on a regular basis. Then you then got a code sent to that email address registered to it, which you then used on the AXS. I've never heard of this ticket platform, AXS platform, to then access it. You then get put into a waiting room. So it got to, what was it, last Friday, 2:00. Logged on, put the code in, I'm put into a queue. Fine, the queue says it's random, I'm all good. I sat there for 70 minutes and then got a little update flash up. Tickets for this event are now very limited. And I'm like, right, okay. Because basically it was just the progress bar was just moving along really slowly and then it went really quick. And I was like, this doesn't look good. And then went on, no tickets available. Literally none. So then I've gone on to StubHub, Viagogo, all the ticket exchange websites, and so many tickets are being resold. And I saw tickets going for like £6,000, like literally within 5 minutes of them going live, which is just absurd. And then I jumped on X and saw people just absolutely slating Riot Games and AXS and League of Legends, esports, etc., for just having a complete debacle fiasco with this. And essentially what happened is it was front run by bots picked them all up and then they're just being resold at just disgusting value. And like, I was genuinely thinking, right, okay, there's probably going to be 15,000-20,000 tickets available. I've probably got a reasonable chance of maybe getting one. And I was happy to pay a couple of £100 for one, but when they're like thousands of pounds, no, nah. And I'm just like, is anyone going to be there if all these tickets are going for so expensive? And B, if they are even going to be people who want to be there? Or are they just going to be randomers who just got it because they front run these bots? Very frustrating. Very frustrating. I would have loved to have gone myself. I would have taken my son. He would have had an absolute field day with it, but very annoying. Very annoying.
I would wait till close to the time, because what generally happens, and it happens with so many things, happens with Taylor Swift concert, happens with sporting tickets.
What were you trying to get Taylor Swift tickets?
Oh, massive fan, mate.
Swifty Devastate.
Yeah, that's it. And then essentially what happens is, while there's hype for getting the tickets, that's where they'll sell them at their maximum. And then as that hype dies down and they realise, and all these accounts realise they've got them, they'll get cheaper. Then there'll be some more hype build up, and then they'll go. So you almost want to try and pick them up like 2 weeks before. And a lot of the time, they end up just getting rid of them.
Yeah, well, the real interesting thing is that when you signed up, it basically said, right, the only place you're allowed to resell them is on the AXS website. And I was like, okay, fine, that makes sense that it's like, then therefore it's like a legitimate resale. But honestly, I went on StubHub via GoGo literally instantly, and they're all there. All of the really good ones and the really poor seats as well. And you're like, very annoying, very annoying.
I would just keep an eye on that ASX website.
AXS.
Yeah. I think it's very similar to Ticketmaster.
Yeah,
I've seen
just
them.
Annoying.
I mean, buying tickets
anyway,
for any event, it's an absolute nightmare. Right.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. One close to your heart, Devastate. Football Manager being delayed. Talk us through that.
Yeah, so the community was the community was told about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that there was going to be a delay to the game. Now, it usually comes out mid-November, but it was going to be delayed until the 25th to give the devs time to get bits and pieces rolling. Still haven't seen any footage. So everyone's like, well, okay. But what's happened this week, essentially, is the directors come out and said that they're not launching the game until March 25, which is a 4 or 5 month delay. Now, couple of things that why they said the game was delayed by 2 weeks, and then a week later said, I think what has happened is that they've done this announcement, they've then they've got in a meeting room, and someone has said, this game is not ready, this game can't be ready. And so they said, well, why? A few of us have worked in corporate before. Those meetings happen all the time. You eventually get down to the real beating heart of the matter. So they basically said, look, the game's not going to be ready. We're going to release it in March. Now, one of the big YouTubers in the Football Manager space, a guy called Zealand, pointed out that March coincides with the end of the financial year. Owned by Sega, Sports Interactive will have a responsibility to their owners and, by account, their shareholders, because they would have expected on their predictions for this financial year, which encompasses January, February, and March, that it includes however many millions of pounds for Football Manager game sales. So what the worry actually is that we're going to get a part-finished game still in March. They've been in development. This game has been in development. They were advertising for Unity developers in 2020. So it was already in the works.
Yeah.
2 years ago, they came out and said that when Football Manager 23 came out, they said Football Manager 23, Football Manager 24 will be the last games on their proprietary development system, and that they will be moving over to Unity for FM25. Ultimately, this game can't have gone well.
No.
So you've got the community that's a bit frustrated, should we say. You've got the streamer community that's even more frustrated because they're hoping to stream the brand new game November and December when ad revenue's the most on Twitch. So they're going to be losing out on money and views. But the question, I have a lot of questions. Because if you release a game in March, what the hell are you going to release in November? In the normal development cycle. Bear in mind the football season is almost over, barring 2 or 3 months. The football season's done. So, are they going to release another game then? Is it going to be then a March release date every year? So at some point, in order to get back on schedule, it wouldn't surprise me if this one that is launched in March is just almost a beta of the one that will come out in November.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that accounting will allow them not to get any revenue into the door. There's also the player base that's expecting a game to play. We've had Football Manager every year since 2003. So it's been a long, long time. And obviously prior to that, Championship Manager. Now, there was a fiasco with 2003. That was delayed. But ultimately, I think there's a bit of swallowing that you've got to do, I think. If they came out and said, look, we're going to release a DLC for the for FM24 to get the latest player patches, it's going to cost £5 if you want to download it, get the official pack with all the new stats in it. You can download it, $5.99, bang. Get that money in the till, and then go, right, FM25 isn't going to be released, and it's going to be FM26 and release it in October or November next year. For me, that feels right, because that something at some point you're either going to get a game cycle. You can't tell me the developers are going to release this game in March, and then in April they're going to start developing a game that comes out 6 months later. 7 months later. It's baffling. So how they do it, I think, is
at least it will capture the January transfer window, though. As well.
Yeah, but the thing is, they've been pretty good at doing like updates and stuff like that, but they have so dropped the ball. And the as with any sort of niche games or niche topics, the core audience of that game, like the wrestling community or like the Football Manager community, is very tightly knit. There's a few good content creators, but it's not like FIFA where there's thousands and thousands and thousands of content creators. There's just a very small niche hub, all in their forums, and the outrage is wild. And
I can imagine
the fact that they came out and said we're delaying by 2 weeks, then they come out and said we're going to come out in March, thinks that they were going to try and give us a half-baked game. And we still think the game is half-baked. They only going to release in-game footage in January. So that's 2 months after the game was meant to have come out. Yeah. So it is that far behind.
Yeah, long way behind. Clearly, there's a lot going on behind the scenes where they need to get a lot of ducks in a row, shall we say?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to Football Manager. moving on to our favourite topic on the Raw Link Up podcast, which is Ubisoft. Just a fantastic. We've got some incredible games out at the moment that nobody's ever heard of or played or still playing. And Devastate, do you want to touch on this one? So they've been sued or in the process of being sued for some illegal data sharing.
Yeah, so this is an article from Video Games Chronicle, written by Chris Scullion, and Ubisoft is being sued for allegedly sharing Ubisoft Store and Ubisoft Plus user data with Meta. So they are facing a class action lawsuit.
From who? Who's it from? Who's suing them?
Well, it's a class action is where a group of people get together.
Yeah.
The class action complaint accuses Assassin's Creed publisher of sharing personally identifiable PII information with Meta through the Meta tracking pixel.
That's really bad.
Now, it states that Ubisoft does not disclose on the website that personally identifiable data is being captured. So that's a whole big thing, like in the UK at the moment, in the web community, cookie tracking, all of that bits and pieces. It's wild with GDPR right now, and tracking consent models and stuff. So I'm quite up to speed on all of this. But the ultimately, you have to display and have the option to turn off tracking on your website now when you're doing this sort of activity. And essentially, they have shared that data, personally identifiable data, with Meta, and so it falls foul legally. So, yeah, essentially, they are going to try and get a jury for financial compensation for everyone affected. Now, in cases like this, there's hundreds of thousands of people which will be affected that don't know that they're affected.
That could be any one of us three. We've all got Ubisoft accounts.
I mean, theoretically, yeah, we've gone on there to do some research for games and stuff that they've played. They might have linked that to a Facebook or an Instagram account that I have and done it. Now, like, what will come of it? Not sure. Will people actually get compensation? Probably not. But will a legal firm end up winning a lot of money? Probably.
Yeah.
But yes, it's another Ubisoft negative story, and it just seems week after week after week they can't stop doing things the wrong way.
They just can't do anything right.
Yeah,
they make terrible games. They haven't made any good games for a long time, and they're just continuing to be terrible at everything that they do.
Matt, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I didn't have anything to add at all.
No? Okay.
I mean, if anyone from Ubisoft wants to come on the podcast anytime, more than happy to talk about it. So just drop it in the comments, shoot us an email, contact details in the YouTube channel. More than happy to get you on at any point. The monetization director particularly would love to have them on at any point. Moving on to much more interesting things. Halo Combat Evolved, Halo CE, the remake. So this was probably the biggest game of my gaming experience ever. I think, like, when I got the original Xbox and got the original Halo, playing it on Xbox, basically doing Xbox LANs with Acidic Virus, obviously from the Link Up as well. We were doing that back in 2000, 2001, something like that. About that sort of time. So I love the game itself. There's now rumours of the remake actually being a lot further along than we originally thought. So it's not likely to be next year. It's more likely to be 2026, I would think. But it's obviously using UE. It's going to be using UE5 because obviously they're now rebranded as Halo Studios, and everything Halo going forward is going to be utilizing UE5. That's Unreal Engine 5. So graphically, I mean, I honestly, I cannot wait for that. just genuinely cannot wait for that. I think that would be honestly incredible looking. I'd love to get involved with that, get my boys involved with that as well, because honestly, Halo for me is just one of the, in my eyes, a generational game. I know Masanevre, you're not a big fan of it. It's a bit too fast for you, isn't it? A bit too fast paced for you. But yes, 2026, hopefully, for the new Combat C remake. Any thoughts on that, gents?
No, I think look, we touched on it loosely in the last episode. Yeah, that can make sense to me.
All right, moving on to the next one. Next topic. Cyberpunk has had a graphics overhaul to Dreampunk 2.1. Now, Masanevre and I were sharing videos on this during the week, and honestly, it looks mind-blowing how good it is. I was watching some of the car scenes, and the graphics, I don't even know how to describe it. It looks so good. The clarity, the water, the detail just looks absolutely stunning. I'm still not going to buy the game or play the game, but yeah, graphically, that looks absolutely stunning. Anything on that, Mass? Anything from you?
Well, I'd love to see it on an 8K monitor.
Yeah. Who's got those 8K monitors? I wonder. I mean, I've got the 4K monitor. We could demo that at the link up next year and have a look at that. But moving on to another one close to Masanevre's heart is the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle Collector's Edition has been announced at the pricely sum of £189.99. Now, for this £190 game, you get a globe. So a globe.
A physical globe, a real life globe.
Yes, a real life globe that you can physically hold. You get a journal. 3 days, a whole 3 days of early access to the game. I mean, 3 days. I mean, they're literally. I'm taking the absolute biscuit with that one. 3 days early access. You get a digital art book, and you get a skin for your character. So, in reality, for your 3 days, for your £190, you can probably complete the game in 3 days if you really put some time and effort into it. And you get a skin for your character, and you get a globe which you can probably buy off Amazon for £4.99, a journal which you can buy for a £2.99. I don't see the value in it. Mass, any thoughts?
No, you've covered what I would have said.
The only thing I would sort of say is we spoke. I think episode 4 or 5 of the podcast when we had ASOM, and we spoke about, at least when you're spending big money on these games to get something physical, we spoke about getting the helmet from Halo. I think it was Halo 2.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Halo, yeah.
At least in this, you're getting a physical item, regardless of how cheap or how not cheap it is. A physical item is still a nice piece that sits on a shelf. Regardless,
I think it's got to be something like that. To your point, in terms of sitting on a shelf, it's got to be sit on shelfable, if that makes sense. It can't just be a cheap ass globe. It's got to be something that looks really like good quality, good value, depicts everything that is about Indiana Jones, etc. Because otherwise, you don't feel like you're getting value for it. And to your point on the Master Chief helmet, I remember vividly when that came out, I was like, I want that, and I didn't buy it, and I should have. I was just more interested in the game. But in hindsight, if I went back now, I'd be all over it. I would have had it. I'd have still had it to this date. So, yeah, I do agree that I think it has to be something that you can definitely put on a shelf. That's going to remind you of the game.
Well, I just wanted to come in though. Last week when we spoke about Microsoft Flight Simulator, that expensive top line.
Yep.
I think that was about 200, 180.
It was a three-figure game.
But the actual game itself, the top level one, I think that came with like a model plane. It came with like seat belt, like a plane seat belt. Like there were some other
And a
gimmicky
life
things,
jacket. Life
things
jacket.
that came with it, and I was like, "Well, it's quite nice if you're into that stuff, and say you can put it on the shelf." I don't mind it. Anyone who I wish they did more of that stuff, but Christ, almost 200 quid just to get
Yeah.
it. Do you know what? AAA games at 70 quid should be where the usual places at. You shouldn't have to pay any more than that.
No.
With the exception that we think that there's going to be a wild price for Grand Theft Auto 6 when that comes out.
Yeah. Well, in GTA 6, I mean, it could be, honestly, it could be anything, and people will pay it. That's the thing, because it will be that good. It will be that good looking, that good gameplay, that good storyline. They've spent literally a decade and more developing it, so it will be a stunning game. Will I pay over £100 for it? Probably not, but if it's going to be available at the link up, probably will.
Yeah.
Right, moving on. Red Dead Redemption 1 finally porting to PC. Now, Mass, there's a question for you. When did Red Dead Redemption 1 come out? Because I don't know. Take a guess. I'm going to... Go on. I'm going to go 2012? Something like that, I guess.
I've got the answer here.
2011, is it, or 2010? Maybe might be 2010.
So it came out on PS3 and Xbox 360
2010
in 2010.
Yeah.
Not far off.
2023 for the Switch and PS4. But it's now available. It's now coming out on Windows on the 29th of October. Red Dead Redemption 1.
Who's going to buy it?
I might buy it, you know. You've not been able to play it.
Yeah, but there's only about 11 people in the world who are going to go, oh yeah, I want Red Dead Redemption 1 on PC.
But they have redone that with other games. They've done that with the Mafia series. That was back in 2002 originally, and then they repackaged it and they sold it on the PS4 in a sort of like a high def version. And I'm pretty sure they've redone that with the Grand Theft Auto series. I think it was actually slated though, wasn't it? It was a couple of years ago. They repackaged the earlier Grand Theft Auto 3D ones in the early noughties, and they sold them, I think, as sort of kind of HD.
What, GTA 1 and 2? Or 3? Because 3 was when you had the over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Whereas 1 and 2 were top down, weren't they?
Yeah, 3D. It's the 2001. It's the early noughties. Yeah, they repackaged that.
Yeah. Now I'm all for it. I'm all for re-release a game that was never on the PC. Give it a graphics boost, because it'll have better performance and you can make it look better now than it ever did on an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
However, it's 40 quid.
£40. I mean,
I'm looking at it on I'm looking at it on Steam. It's $39.99.
Has it got any purchases? Is there anyone online playing it?
No, because it's not out until the 29th.
Oh yes, sorry, my bad. Yeah, my bad.
But I mean, I just by reading this, it's got HD. They've added HDR to it, so they've obviously done some graphical enhancements. If that comes down, I'll buy it and give it a play. So because I never had chance to play it on the original, so yeah, I'm all for these sorts of things. It's a single player game. Knock yourself out, have fun. If it's a tenner, 15 quid maybe, I'll pay it and have a go and play it. But
because to your point, Devastate, when Mass, what was the Command and Conquer game that came out that we played at the Link Up one year that they did a remake of it?
So that's the original Command and Conquer from '95, and then Red Alert from the following year.
Yeah, so they redid that in like a high. It was like a high def, and we played one game, and then we were like, yeah, no, we're done.
I did actually play quite a lot of that myself. So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
There was a lot of people who dropped out as a result. There was people who got a refund from it, but I did play quite a bit of it. So, but I was hoping that would be a means to an end. I thought that from doing that we would get a remastered version of Generals, but that has not happened, and I'm sure there'd be a lot of people who'd also like to see a remaster of Red Alert 2 as well. But that still has not happened either.
No. Both very good games as well. Well, anything else, gents? Because that's our list done of all of our topics for this week. I've been playing quite a lot of League of Legends this week, new season, and the Worlds is on, so I've been playing quite a lot. Been playing the new reworked Teemo, which is challenging to say the least. Getting my arse handed to me the last 2 games I played, but been a lot of fun. Anything from you two?
No, just carrying on streaming on Twitch, playing a lot of FIFA. FIFA, EAFC 25. Those of you who watch this on YouTube, you might have seen them come through as shorts. We've had some very popular YouTube shorts going on some of the players we've packed. But yeah, that's all I've been sort of playing for, and now that's all the gaming I'll be doing for the considerable future now that Football Manager is delayed. Because I usually like spam FIFA EAFC all the way up until November, and then sort of do half and half. So I need a new game. Although
I think
today,
Sins 2. We need to do some Sins 2 then.
I played Sins 2 today.
I saw you. I was working the other afternoon, and it was like 4:30 in the afternoon, and I just saw you log on to Sins 2, and I was like, "Hello, what's he doing on there?"
But, no, just that is the sort of game you just need to get back. I always find with it, I need to get back into the swing of it. I also changed my tactics up today a little bit as well, which then became a lot more effective.
Well, you obviously don't want to give it away, but yeah, I think in games like that you do have to sort of spend a lot of time playing them to get like really good at it again. But when you're
playing the PC, you've got to play it differently to playing other people.
Yes.
So you've got to go, right, if I'm playing a PC, once you sort of know where the PC is, you go, right, the PC will try and attack me very quickly. So I need to be able to strategically go to the point that I think he's going to attack me on, set up for
the pinch point, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're playing us three, for example, all on all, you've got no idea what we're doing.
Yeah. And also the game usually we're a bit more, let's say, friendly.
Yeah.
I think we ultimately we play the game until we've built a big enough army that we want to attack. It's not about necessarily ending the game in the quickest amount of time possible.
Yeah, it's not about rushing. We generally just like try and build a massive army, then have a massive fight, and then right, that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
Mace, anything from you?
No, nothing from myself.
Are you still playing Suez Reign?
I haven't played anything for the past week, actually.
Well, you need to get back on it then. I mean, this is a game. This is a game. We're gamers here.
Yeah, I will be getting back on it, and then I'm also considering getting funnily enough, we were talking about remastered games. I am actually looking at buying a new point and click. It's actually a remastered version of the Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars Reforged. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on. So that's been remastered. It's I haven't got a 4K monitor, but it gives up to 4K.
I think it's time for an upgrade then, isn't it?
It might well be.
I've got a good recommendation on a 4K monitor.
I know. Very nice too.
Well, Well, I think we'll leave it there then today. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. We would love it if you could drop a like and a subscribe over on all of our channels or wherever you're listening or watching us from. If you have any feedback on what we've talked about today or anything you'd like to see us discuss in future podcasts, drop them in the comments below. We'd always really appreciate any feedback that you guys have got. But yeah, until next time, this has been episode 23, and I am the amazing Sniper Beef.
I've been Devastate.
And I've been Masanevre.
Catch you soon, Pete.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.